I'm very good at trivia.
Drive through history is how I learned that.
I know you're on my team.
For crying out loud! Foundations of Biblical Hebrew, Lecture 15. Kal imperfect, strong verbs. This is going to be a shorter chapter, so you don't have to worry too much about it. What are the imperfect verbs in Hebrew? The imperfect is the second major Hebrew verbal conjugation to be studied, so you have to pay careful attention to it. Of the over 50,000 occurrences of the kal stem in Hebrew, the imperfect occurs 21,951 times, which is approximately 43% of kal. So, roughly 50%, I'd say. 43 or 50 is pretty close. So that's why it's important for us to commit this conjugation to memory. And we'll find some interesting facts about it too. What is the meaning of the kal imperfect? As I already said earlier during our homework review, it is used to express incomplete action. It means the action has started but has not been completed yet. It could be present tense if you compare it to English grammar, or future tense. Either I study or I will study. But in Hebrew, it's all termed as imperfect. The action of the verb occurs either at the time of speaking or after the time of speaking. Hence, present or future association with English grammar. Okay. Hebrew imperfect is also used to denote habitual or customary action. For example, he prays regularly, or he used to pray. Okay, so it's a habitual or customary action. Imperfect might be used, so translation will be effective. Likewise. Also, it may be used by one of the several modal values, and modal values are usually the ones that are described by the words such as would, could, should, may, might, can, and so on and so forth. Okay, so if you want to say, I would have gone there, you might use imperfect, because it's not a complete action that you're describing. You're describing supposed action. So you see there are many different aspects of the imperfect. And of course, you have to always look at the context as you are guiding principle. The imperfect aspect denotes incomplete action, whether in the past, present, or future. So we mentioned present and future so far, but it could also be past, because would or should are actually the words denoting past, looking to the future. Would and should. I would have read that book if I knew something about it or whatever. So in English it's actually is it a future perfect tense? Future perfect tense. I would have. The imperfect aspect denotes incomplete action, whether in past, present, or future. We already said that. What is the form of the imperfect? Before, in our paradigms, we are being shown subformatives, which are usually suffixes with the pronominal meaning. First person, second person, third person, masculine, feminine, and so on and so forth. While with the imperfect, we'll actually see some prefixed letters, which will point out the difference between the imperfect and the perfect. It will actually be a little bit easier to identify the one from the other. These are called preformatives. So because they're preceding the verbal root, they'll be preformatives. And suffixes will be subformatives. So they are forming a word. They mean mainly changing the word by adding something to the front and to the end. Well, with the imperfect, we'll have both preformatives and subformatives. And we'll see the examples. The imperfect paradigm must be memorized with a view to both written and oral recitation. You're not only supposed to be able to write it down, you also have to be able to pronounce it all by heart, the whole paradigm. If you'll be able to do that, you'll commit it to your memory, and then you will never have to come back to it again. Okay? So not only reproduce, but rather know it by heart, which is a little bit different. And another thing that authors suggest, the exact spelling of all consonants, vowels, and accent marks is required. So the paradigm that you have in your textbook, that's the one you have to be paying close attention to, because even accents are required. Plus, we will try to recite it by heart before the quiz, and then we'll actually write it down.
Is there any reason why for this one the exact spelling of all consonants and vowels and accent marks is required, whereas it's not on other paradigms?
Because other paradigms do not have that many preformatives and subformatives that are so different from perfect. Since this is the first kind of derived form or deviation of the perfect stem, you have to memorize it. And from now on, basically, you have to pay close attention to it. There will be preformatives and subformatives in other stems, and even in other conjugations, but since you're moving from perfect to the imperfect, and that's a new conjugation, the importance have to be in that factor alone.
So looking at the paradigm, then there's like female, person, female, plural, requires both the suffix and prefix, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so it's not either or in that case.
Let's look at the paradigm itself. So we'll see in the third masculine singular, there's no preformatives. There's no subformatives. They're all preformatives. We only get them when we get to the plurals. Okay,
You're
so
missing one. Yeah.
we're at
Second feminine singular.
Yeah.
Should
okay,
be
you must have
here, yo.
we must drop it, and I try to copy it. Yiktol, katal means to kill. Or actually, he killed. Yiktol in the imperfect means he will kill. And we see the preformative here is hirek yod in front of katol. You see that? Right there. This is preformative. It does not belong to the trilateral root. Then another one, if we come to feminine singular, it actually adds another tau consonant with hirek. And you see it's pretty consistent throughout the paradigm here.
Yeah,
Here
that's
we
wrong.
have- huh?
That's wrong.
Yeah, this is,
It's tiktali.
yeah, this might be actually that yod from here with some strange letter. Okay, we got it. Oops, sorry about that. I gotta edit that. I looked at it and I still didn't notice it. Ektol, you see another preformative here with aleph and segol. I will kill. Yiktalu, we have preformative and subformative. And then tiktol na, you have the regular na ending there. Tiktalu. Pay attention to yiktol and tiktalu because they kind of look similar. If you look at the subformatives, the first letter is different. Okay? So you have to be able to distinguish between this one and that one. And then another one, notice third feminine plural and second feminine plural. It's identical form. You see it? Where is my thing? Tiktona, identical.
So context would tell us whether it's a they or
Yes.
a you.
It's pretty, straightforward. You can still see clear trilateral root. Of course, for the other verbs, it might not be as clear as for this one. There are other types, such as geminative and so on and so forth. You can see a paradigm on page 168 for the remainder of the verbs in the same type. I mean, that's not all the verbs that are in the same type, but similar to it. Paragraph 55. And then the next portion of our class will actually look at the stative verbs. Stative verbs are the ones that are classified by their stem vowel. This is something that you have learned in the previous chapters. These are verbs that usually deviate from a normal pattern, comet, patha, in the perfect, remember? They have some deviations in them. For example, gadal is the patha one, but there is also tsere, kaved, for example. It does not correspond to our normal comet, patha sequence. And then katon is comet's colon instead of comet's patha. So these are the verbs that would be called the stative verbs. And in the imperfect, the stem vowel is patha regardless of the stem vowel in the perfect. So if in the perfect, for example, we'll see some examples here. If in the perfect, patha stative was gadal, right, in the
They're backwards.
Those are
things are
backwards.
backwards, yeah. Gadal imperfect, in the imperfect it's yigdal. Kaved is in the perfect, in the imperfect it's yikvad. See, the tsere changes to patha. Same with katon changes to yiktan. So the whole pattern, which actually deviates in the perfect, in imperfect it comes back to patha dominated structure, where the patha is the second vowel under the letter. If you read it, it's a little bit more understandable. What is the lexical form of the call imperfect? It's the same as for any other verb, which is third masculine singular, regardless of stem or conjugation. We've learned already that the only form so far that we have learned that appears in the infinitive actually infinitive construct, is the lexical form for hollow verbs, which drop out second consonant usually. Okay. When asked to parse call imperfect verbs, you will be required to identify the verbal stem, conjugation, person, gender, number, and verbal root. What is verbal stem? It calls a call. Conjugation, imperfect. Person, either first, second, or third. Gender would be he, she, or it. Number, singular, plural. Verbal root, whatever you think it is, or whatever dictionary says it is, or lexicon. When parsing, give the required information in the proper order as the following examples illustrate. Translation is not a required part of the parsing information. So we'll see something like this. Yishma'u will be